Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I am doing a part 2 to my video of misconceptions about autism, and you can watch part 1, I'll leave a link in the description down below, after you've watched this video. So without further ado, let's get into my notes. Yeah, blank page, hang on, yeah. So the first misconception I want to talk about is actually a really common one that I hear all the time, which is that autistic people don't have empathy. Now, I have a lot to say about this, but for those of you that don't know, empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. So some autistic people may have difficulty expressing their emotions. They may talk with a flat tone of voice or not be comfortable in certain situations where we have to comfort someone. But this doesn't necessarily mean that we can't understand or relate to how someone feels. I also hear a lot about how people that are maybe non-speaking can't have empathy because they don't show it or say it, which is sort of ridiculous, because just because you're not verbalizing what you're thinking, it doesn't mean that you're not thinking something or understanding it. It just means that they're struggling to communicate that they do. Obviously, every person is different and every autistic person is different. It's a spectrum for a reason. And some people may really struggle with empathy, and some people may experience the other end of the spectrum, which is having hyperempathy. So hyperempathy occurs when you feel empathy too intensely. You likely take on other people's feelings as if they were your own to an excessive or distressing degree. For example, in a game show or a TV competition, I find it really hard to watch the scenes when a person gets eliminated. Now, I never really understood why this was until I posted in a group on Facebook and so many people typed back saying, "I think you have hyperempathy," and basically what happens in those situations is I'm watching the TV programme and all of a sudden I take on the person's position, so I almost in a way feel like I am the person being eliminated, and that for me would be awkward and uncomfortable, and so it's almost as if I'm there and I don't want to be in that situation, so then I look away because then it doesn't feel awkward or uncomfortable. And so I have empathy so much that it actually does the opposite, and I feel things too intensely, which isn't always a good thing. Anyway, basically what I'm saying is, yes, maybe some people might not be able to empathise, but actually a lot of autistic people do, and to quite an extreme degree as well sometimes. So the second misconception I want to talk about is that autistic people apparently have no feelings, which is silly because we're all human and we all have feelings. Even if maybe some people have a bit more difficulty expressing their feelings, doesn't mean that they're not there and that we don't have them. Like I said before, some autistic people may be hyper-empathetic, and that's feeling things too much. A lot of autistic people feel so intensely, but they might have difficulty showing it, or they may express it in a different way to neurotypical people. For example, I'm not really good at saying "I love you" in real life, which, now that I just said it now, seems really weird because I'm not sure that I've ever said it in real life. But I will show that I care about someone in other ways. For example, buying them a bag of cookies when I go to the shop, or just checking up on them every now and then, spending time with them. And that's how I show that I care about someone. I don't always necessarily think to actually say it. It's not that I don't care about the person, it's that I show it in different ways to other people. And also, masking can play a really big impact into why people might believe this misconception about autistic people. Well, not all autistic people are able to mask or can mask, but those that do will mask so much that you don't even see them as autistic anymore. And that can also play a big part in our feelings, because a lot of the time people are told, you know, we don't want to know how you're actually feeling, we just want to talk about, you know, little things, or it's not good to talk about your feelings, keep it inside, no one wants to hear it, you know, you be strong, blah blah blah. And so we bottle up our feelings, keep them inside, and then sometimes let them out when people aren't around. For example, autistic people can have meltdowns or even shutdowns because they've masked for so long how they're feeling that they just need to get it out. But a lot of the time people will mask how they feel, and so it may come across as we don't have feelings, but actually it's just that we've been taught for so long to keep them to ourselves that we don't really know how to express them. Another thing I find constantly appears up in conversation is the fact that a lot of autistic people can be quite blunt and say it how it is. And because of this, autistic people may come across as, oh, well, if they talk to people like that, then they clearly are fine being spoken to like that back. And so people assume that they don't have feelings because if they speak like that to other people, they can take it themselves. But in reality, autistic people can be very sensitive. I'm very sensitive, actually. I mean, I may not show it, but even the smallest of things I can take the wrong way unintentionally, and it will really upset me, and I'm really sensitive in that way. And so a lot of the time people aren't seen that way, maybe because of the way they act around other people, but it doesn't mean that that they're not sensitive and have feelings too. The third misconception I want to talk about is the comment that I hear again a lot, which is, oh, you grow out of it, which is just baffling that people say this all the time and they mean it. It's part of you when you're born. It is who you are, and it's not something you grow out of. I think people may sort of have this view and this opinion because, again, some autistic people are very good at masking, so much to the extent that they don't seem autistic anymore. And this can be due to varying factors such as being bullied, being told, oh, you don't look autistic at all, trying to fit in and make friends. So many reasons why people mask, why autistic people mask. And so people will then look at you and go, oh, well, you're obviously not autistic anymore because you don't struggle with anything. You don't look autistic, how can you be? But it's just silly that people think that it goes away suddenly. That's not how it works. You're always going to be autistic. Another thing that I find disproves this misconception is coping strategies and coping mechanisms. And you're not just going to sit there your whole life and go, oh well, I'm autistic, I'm just going to struggle with everything for the rest of my life. So I have a lot of strategies and coping mechanisms in place to help me mildly stay afloat, we shall say. I'm not going to say like I'm on top of the world and everything is great, because everything is still a struggle, but things, little things that help me just like, you know, keep on top of things to a degree, it can help me to feel a bit more like I'm coping, such as having a whiteboard where I can easily write things down, having an Alexa where she can remind me to do things when I forget, having fidget toys in my pocket so that if I'm anxious when I'm out and about, I can just fidget with them and it will help me to stay calm and not get distracted, such as always wearing my headphones when I go out so that I'm not always overstimulated by all the loud noise. And because I use these things to help me cope in life and certain situations, people will look at me and go, well, you're not autistic though, you do things all the time by yourself, you go to the shops all the time and you're always around loud music and your house is always tidy. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, because I have these things in place to help me with that. Whereas if I didn't use these things, then I probably would seem a lot more autistic because I'm struggling. And it's not that I'm any less autistic, it's just that I found things that help me with the things I do struggle with. And it's just silly that people look at that and go, oh, well, you're not autistic. I don't understand some people. I think also, as a, like, on the other side of things, is that people quite often will say, oh, you're just faking it because all of a sudden you now seem autistic or more autistic. You're obviously just putting it on. And I think a lot of the time, people don't necessarily understand what being autistic means for themselves, or sort of the things that make them autistic and things that they struggle with. And when they sort of learn to understand and accept these things, they feel more comfortable, more able to be able to be themselves, unmask, you know, enjoy the good things about being autistic and learn to navigate being autistic with all the struggles and the difficulties that come with it. And people look at this and go, oh, well, you're faking because you never used to be like this. You never used to stim in public. You never used to dance around because you're happy, you know, all these things. And I just say to them, well, yeah, because I never knew I was allowed to before. I never really knew that that was what being autistic was for me. And I spent so long masking it to fit in that I actually lost who I really was as a person. And so now I'm just expressing who I am and not feeling sorry for it. It doesn't mean I'm any more autistic than I was before. It just means that I'm now accepting it and learning to show it in a positive way. Okay, another misconception I want to talk about is how people think that autistic people aren't able to advocate for themselves and that we're not intelligent. Now, a lot of people judge you sort of instantly and go, ah, you've walked in with a carer, or maybe not, or maybe you can't communicate, or you've come in a wheelchair, and they look at you and go, oh, I'll just ask this person you've walked in with, oh, is he alright? Can I get him anything? Oh, where would he like to sit? Oh, is it too warm for him? You know, I can get a fan. And it's just like, well, have you tried asking the person themselves whether they're okay or what they would like? It's almost dehumanizing us because you're not seeing us as a human and our own person. And yes, some people may not be able to communicate for themselves, like I said, but you should never assume and you should never judge someone. It can sort of be belittling, I think that's the right word, and a bit patronising in a way that you don't come to us first and that you always assume that we can't advocate for ourselves, but actually a lot of people are very able and willing to do so, and to have that taken away from us, not by choice, is actually kind of disrespectful. And like I said before, if someone's non-verbal, it doesn't mean that they're not able to communicate in their minds, they're not thinking about things or understanding situations. It may be that they have a different way of communicating. So for example, some autistic people may communicate by using a touchscreen, or text to speech, or using flashcards with images on them. Even then, you should really listen to the person and their carer or person who they've come with, because it's really invalidating when you just sort of ignore us and go straight to our carers, because, well, it's not nice. How would you feel if someone did that to you? It's not great. You know, we all just want to be treated and accepted as human beings, even if we are autistic. It doesn't make a difference. So anyway, those are some more misconceptions about autism that I want to debunk in this video. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, leave a comment in the comments about a misconception that you've believed, or something that people misconceive about you all the time. And also let me know if you agree with anything I said in this video. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications every time I upload a new video, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, because it really helps the algorithm. So I think I said I hope you enjoyed this video. Anyway, I'm tired, so I'm gonna go. I also still have pins and needles, and it's actually kind of late, so I need to go to bed. But I'll catch up with you next week. I was going to say I'll catch up with you next, guys, in the week's video, but no. I'll catch up with you next week, guys, in the video, is what I'm trying to say. I should go. Bye.